Now, I'm very happy to welcome back the CEO and commissioner of the season in Mr. Peter Simones. You can follow Peter on Twitter at _SZN. Peter, thanks for coming back on the show. It is March Madness, my man. How are things going for you?
Thanks so much for having me, Kiev. It's one of my favorite podcasts to do. And I think in between the last time I was on NFL season and now, like, you've been on quite a run, man. It's been a good year for you.
Thanks. I mean, I hope it continues, knock on wood. Yeah, it's been a great year for me. NFL has been sharp. College football not as I wish that college football would be a little bit more consistent for me. So that what's funny is I used to be better at college football, and then just over the last 2 or 3 years, the NFL has just been better. I think it's a lot. The prop markets have really opened that up for me. But contests. I made it pretty far in some of those contests that you have, just not quite to the end, man. But that was just a ton of fun doing that at the season, and learned all about that site, and it's so exciting. And if you can just remind our listeners a little bit about what that is, the season, and how it got started, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, totally. So it's called The Season. And as Kiev said, we spell it the SZN, the cool kid way, theseason.com. And in short, we run the world's best pools. And we humbly believe that we run the world's best pools. And what that means is they're really big. So like our NFL Survivor has had 13,000 participants playing in it. Thus, we have really big prizes. And we do a few things differently. So like everything is single entry. So it's like everybody is on a level playing field. You're not competing against people who may have 20, 30, 100 entries. We keep the formats really simple, classic stuff like Survivor, Pick'em, Bracket, the stuff that everybody knows. And we have a lot of fun. We create a lot of content. We have a lot of cool community features. And so it's like the season's the world's biggest community that centers on sports pools. We do them with a bunch of different sports. We do a bunch of different formats for each sport. And yeah, you can come and join us. Every pool is just $10, or we offer discounts on bundles of pools. So they become even cheaper if you want to do multiple. So that's the season. Our NFL Survivor champ this year got $50,000. Our March Madness bracket champ is going to get $10,000. So it's big money.
Oh, nice. I mean, that is big money. And, if you think you got an edge, here we go. I mean, that's not a lot of money to pay to win a lot of money, So let's talk about some of that. So what kind of deals do you have? Or actually, before deals, what kind of contests do you have over there? Because you guys always get creative. It's not just the same old with the season.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. We pride ourselves on coming up with formats that you don't really see elsewhere, or sort of like tweaking and perfecting the formats that you do so that they're better. Because like one thing that nobody likes ties. Nobody likes a bunch of people that like you have 100-way tie for the title. Like on the season, we crown a champion, like an individual champion for every pool that we do. And we do that through some of these like little tweaks that we do to the format. So, all right, for March Madness, we've got 4 different formats that we run. So we do a classic bracket. Of course, you have to, and that's our biggest pool. We keep the scoring a little bit tighter. So the points per round is for the nerds out there, modified Fibonacci. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And what that does is it makes the earlier rounds still worth a little bit more. And like what you see with last year, where like was total chaos, right? And you had a lot of teams that people didn't expect to be in the Final Four. Well, what that means is that we had some folks placed very highly that didn't have any teams in the Final Four, but they did really well early on, where there was still a bunch of chaos, and they were right on a lot of that. So we find that people like the scoring that we have. So we have a classic bracket. As I said, $10,000 to the champion of that one, $20,000 in prizes overall. We pay more than just the people who win. We pay a lot of places. We have an upset bracket, and the upset bracket, I think that's Kiev's. I think that's your favorite. And if you come and join it on the season, you'll see that it's got brought to you by the Odds Breakers, which I love. And so the upset bracket gives you bonus points if you correctly predict an upset. And the bonus points equivalent to the difference between the seeds. So a lot of strategy about like where do you pick your spots, right? To sort of maximize those upset picks. Because
Actually,
Go
Before
ahead.
you go on, I don't want to lose this thought. I want to mention how cool that is, the upset bracket, because when you're filling out a bracket, and thank you for not top loading it to the end, because that means everybody feels like they have to use one seeds. But still, in general, people are more scared of losing. And if a one seed's worth the same thing as a 7 seed or an 8 seed, they almost feel compelled that they have to have three one seeds, sometimes even all one seeds in their final four, even though they kind of have an inclination. But with this upset bracket, being that they're minusing the seed out, it's going to make you really want to pick some upsets, and you can still have a number one team going. But maybe your bracket looks a little bit like how it finished last year when the number 4 seed won. You're playing against like an 8 seed in San Diego State. What was it? Florida Atlantic, like a 10 or 11 seed. It was insane. And Miami, of course, was a high seed. So I'm sure the upset bracket, if someone probably just got 1 or 2 of those in the final four, they might have won that. So that's what's so cool about the upset format. It makes you really want to pick and do your homework instead of going against just a bunch of people that pick based on the seeds. Am I right?
100%. And your example is perfect, which is that last year, let's take FAU. I think Florida Atlantic was a 9 seed. They felt sort of more like a 12 seed. I think they were a 9 seed. And if you had picked them into the final four, that alone probably wins you that pool, right? Because you were probably the only person that did that. And the number of points, because like every time that they had an upset, which was, I think, every single one of their games, right? So every single time you got the bonus points, right? And to get that all the way through is going to be worth a lot. So, it's like, what's more impressive, being the person who's like, I really think Florida Atlantic's going to make it to the final four, or being the person that picks the right, 2 1 seeds to make it? Like, picking FAU to the final four is more impressive. And so this rewards that.
Love it. Absolutely. That is great. And not only that, you have the big one, like you mentioned, that scored better. What else you got over there at the season? I think you mentioned 5 or 6 tournament challenges for $30.
Yeah, totally. And as Kiev said, so if you want to do all 5 of these pools, we've got a new customer special, and the link is in the description to this podcast. A new customer special for it's just $30 to do all 5 of these pools, and it's got more than $40,000 in prizes between them. So, the big bracket, the upset bracket, Survivor. So every year, season members tell us that the March Madness Survivor is their favorite March Madness format that we do. And so we'll see if upset bracket, goes above it this year, because it's new for us. But the Survivor is, you can only use each team once, classic Survivor rules. You must win to survive. Last person standing wins. And the picks per round is 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. And we have had people win their final four pick in each of the last 2 years, but we've never had somebody go all the way through. And so it's always a thing of like, can we see somebody do the crowning March Madness Survivor achievement of getting all the way through the gauntlet? But the last 2 years, winning that final four pick has been enough to be the last person standing. So that's Survivor. Lots of strategy there.
That is awesome. It's because like you could get real scared in the beginning. You want to use maybe 1 or 2 seed, yet you might kind of wonder if you need to save that, right? So that's the fun about Survivor in the NFL too. It's just a completely different way of doing it. Now, so every day you got to pick, right? And I'm guessing you're starting on Thursday, not Tuesday, right?
Correct. Yeah, we start on Thursday with the round of 64. Once the round of 64 is fully established, and we do the picks per round. So we start on Thursday and you pick 3 for the Thursday, Friday games. And then in that tight turnaround, we send people lots of reminders to make sure that they make it in that tight turnaround between Friday night and Saturday. You pick your 3 for the round of 32. And then if you advance out of that, then you've got, of course, 4 days to make your 2 selections for the Sweet 16.
Nice. So it's formatted just like the fun we love to have during the Survivor season, and you got to get your stuff in the mornings basically and just keep surviving. Those days pile on. It doesn't feel like it's such a short NCAA tournament when you're playing Survivor, which is awesome, man. Well, that's great. Sounds like Survivor is right up your guys' alley. What else is going on over at the season?
Yeah, so we've got two more. We for those who sort of, to the point that you just made, like to always have something that they're picking for. We've got just a straight pick 'em. Every round, you just pick the winners, and the person who gets the most games right is the pick 'em champion. That's not elimination. So even if you don't do so well in the first round, well, you get to come back for round two and try to do better, and you can definitely make a comeback and still win that pool. And so it's a straight pick 'em, just pick the winners, no spreads involved. And that obviously goes all the way through the final four. And then we do have a second bracket that's also a classic bracket for people who just like to have more action, fewer entries in that one, smaller prizes. But, you know, a lot of us are March Madness fanatics. And so it's like, give us as much action as possible. And again, as a new customer, and you use the link that Kiev will put in the notes of this podcast, if you come into the season and you want to do all 5 of those pools, you can get all 5 of them for just $30. So it's a lot of fun.
Wow, all 5 for $30. I mean, how many people are participating in these contests? Like, what would you say? Answer it like just for the main one and all 5.
Yeah, I'd say for the big bracket, we're expecting to get around 2,000 participants. We might get a little bit less than that. Don't expect too many more than that. But right in that spot. So again, to come to a pool and pay somewhere between, $6 if you take that all 5 pools for $30 offer, or you just do the big bracket by itself for $10. To be able to do that with that number of participants and potentially win $10,000 is something you're not going to be able to find many other places. For the other pools, we get fewer people. Again, it's sort of like more the people who are really into it will do these other pools. And so we'll probably get less than 1,000 people into some of the ones like the upset bracket and like the round by round pick 'em.
Wow. Okay. So it's not even that bad. You're not even competing against that many people to win 10 big ones, right? That's not bad at all. That's very generous on your guys' side, I think. So wonderful,
yeah, no, I
man.
appreciate that. We always structure our big flagship signature competition for those that, and I know you have a lot of subscribers who do pay attention to implied odds and whatnot. Our biggest pools are always going to have really great implied odds because we're out there trying to give people something that's like, wow, I can get a shot at this huge prize with my one entry competing against a bunch of other people that only have one entry. And you're not going to be able to find large size pools like that elsewhere. And that's sort of what we specialize in.
That is awesome. So to recap, going to this link in this podcast description, they can get $10 off, making it down to $30 for all 5 contests, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So we already discount those like bundles of pools, and then we further discount it as a new customer. So it's $30 for all 5 pools. There's $42,000 in prizes. And yeah, the link is in the description, but it's just www.theseason.com/OB because the Odds Breakers is awesome. And that's the link.
Well, I appreciate that. And I'm sure our listeners here is going to appreciate this offer. So, Peter, thank you so much for coming on and breaking this down. I'm very excited to get in these contests, my man. Make sure you guys sign up right away. We'll be talking, Peter.
All right. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.